Well, hey, good morning. Welcome to the Blue Gamer Bluecast morning show. I'm your host, Adam Blue. Every weekday, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Central, I'll dive into the latest gaming news, what I've been getting up to in the world of gaming. And a lot of my thoughts. I really feel like I am that professional enthusiast with a lot to say, a lot to decipher, because I want to decipher a few things today because it's very interesting what's been going on with Concord. There's some more information, and I think I talked about it a little bit last week about it essentially costing 400 million. Some people saying actually that's not true. I beat Astrobot. I want to talk about that. I think there's a few other stuff too. I mean, I've got all my tabs lined up, but yeah, we'll start with what I've been getting into. Let's pull it up here. All right. So, yeah, as I said, I beat Astrobot. Now, I didn't beat like every level in terms of like the secret levels. I've gotten a bunch of them. I think I've unlocked them all. There could be more, which I think is cool. But I beat the base game. And actually, let me move this down just in case. It's a really good game, and it's very interesting because as much as I like it, as much as I think it's awesome, there's this component missing, and I could never really put my finger on what it was until David Jaffe brought it up. In fact, actually, someone else brought it up to him, and that kind of helped him understand why he is not having too much fun with it. And this is what it is. Very interesting. The game is more of a challenge game than it is like a platforming adventure game. And I almost feel like it's really on that edge. It's blurring the line. And I guess PlayStation just leaned more into the hardcore gamer challenge side of things than the platforming Mario side of things, because the beginning part of the game really is pretty easy and there's nothing to it. Later on in the game, the more meatier parts of the game are actually super hard. And a lot of it too is because there's one hit and you die. So it could be there are some levels where one hit and you have to start all the way from the beginning. And there are some areas where you have like 2 lives you can use. I will say that I think the life system in this game does more harm than good because, again, one touch and you're dead, right? So I could be at a checkpoint and then I go to the next puzzle and just 5 seconds later, maybe I get hit by something because of the way the camera works. Sometimes you might not see. And then you have to start over, but you're just starting over at that checkpoint you just were at. And it's like, okay, that was just like a little inconvenience that really wasn't. It's not like I learned anything. It's just like, well, with this game, I got to like know where my camera. It's almost like a trial and error game where, yeah, again, the challenge where you'll get to some moments where it's like you have to memorize, okay, this is what is going to happen. So now that I can restart, I'll avoid it. And that's not bad. Like me, I went through, had fun. But I was framing this in my mind more of a Mario and Banjo-Kazooie style platformer. And while it's nearly that, again, it actually is more of sort of like this a challenge game. It's very interesting. I never really thought about that. Isn't that a Souls game? Hey, Steven. Yeah. So pretty much Astrobot is a Souls game. Yeah. So anyway, I find that very interesting because even I wasn't really able to fully understand what it was about the game that I thought was holding it back from being super amazing. I still think it's in my top 5 game of the year because there's no other game. And that's the thing. I think we're being critical because this is like a Sony first party game that's coming out. But there's like, I wish a Mario would look like this. I wish, yeah, Mario looks great. But I think what Astrobot really does well is we're at a point now where graphics, especially when it comes to polygonal 3D graphics, it can be very smooth and really Pixar-like. I would look at last year's Sonic Superstars. Look at the backgrounds. It looks like a early 2000s game because the art style in the 3D space is not being treated as someone would try to draw and fill in pixels to make something look accurate. Anyway, so Astrobot looks amazing. It looks like a Pixar game. And because of the effects it can use, the way the water, the way all the particles, I've never played a game with so many particles that go in slow motion that I can interact with. It's that makes so much sense for a platforming like game. You know, like if you combined this and Mario Odyssey, that would be the ultimate game. A lot of times Mario Odyssey had too many of the, oh, just go do this, and then you'll never do it again, and you'll totally not remember that. I think like Mario 64 had a really good job of like it's like you're trying to figure out how to get the star, and then sometimes it would end the level, and then you'd play it again, and so it really helped you feel the world. In Astrobot, I could play through a level and get all the secrets and then be done. And then I'm not really thinking about it again. That was actually my one complaint about the game. There's some levels where there's no reason to ever go back. But at the end of this game is worth playing. I think Sony needs to invest more into this style of game with that IP, the Astrobot. And as a gamer, there's so much history of video games in this, and in fact, the ending is emotional. The way they pulled off the ending, it's like a celebration of games. You know, PlayStation is celebrating its 30th anniversary, and I think that's like the perfect way to sort of celebrate that and take it in. Because there's a lot of there's a cool spot in the game. I'll say that it's and they should have done something more with this. There's like this hub world where all your bots you rescue go to, and there's like 301 total about. But they all have their own functions from the games they're from. There's things you could do in this hub world. I kind of wish it had a PlayStation Home component, because don't you want to celebrate like PlayStation with everybody? It's funny how sometimes I feel like there's some certain components of multiplayer that are missed. Yeah, sure, people might want to play together, but sometimes people just want to share experiences together. So sometimes you can have like a low impact multiplayer where two instances aren't impacting each other, but the players know they're with each other. I don't know. Anyway, I guess I'll leave it at 15 hours without getting everything. I beat Astrobot, and I think it is a pivotal game to play in someone's library. But also, from playing Astrobot, I was reminded of so many PlayStation properties of games that I have barely even played, maybe didn't play, but a lot of them, it's like I've played these, but I've never really fully embraced or beat the game they were in or whatever. So yeah. Okay, Mina had like the old Fable games made that multiplayer was interesting. So that sounds familiar, and I'll have to look back into that, but you could be onto something. I think, Microsoft was kind of known to try to do interesting things with that concept, because I think too much developers or publishers are focused on the gamers playing it at the same time, so then we'll make the gameplay reflect that, when it's like, no, I think you can really make a game where you're connected with others even though you're in your own instance. So I was playing Castlevania Dominus Collection because I want to get back through Dawn of Sorrow since I beat Astrobot and Gundam Breaker 4, and then I'm playing Wukong. We'll get to that anyway. I wanted to do a little palate cleanser, Dawn of Sorrow. That was the one DS game I hadn't beat since I got my new 3DS and made the custom DS. There was just something about sitting and playing a Castlevania game, just listening to the music, the controls. It's like I'm vibrating myself into its own frequency, and then I'm just locked in. It feels good. All right, Minecraft. My son was playing that with his friend. He had a sleepover. They're playing Minecraft. FIFA, yeah, that was them. Okay, Black Myth Wukong. Since I got some more games out of the way, went back to Black Myth Wukong because it's really fun. Got to the 3rd chapter, progressing through that. Yeah, we'll see where that goes. It's an interesting game because it's fun. But yeah, it's one of those I think I've talked about before where sometimes I'll just stop. I'm like, okay, I'm done for now, and I'll move on. Which is like keeping me from beating it real fast. It's not that it's boring. It's more of I am just doing it. I'm getting done. I'm killing the things I need to. And I'm like, okay, I'll stop for now. Wargroove 2. I forgot I had mentioned that before. I tried playing it, and it would just never launch. I probably have to just uninstall, reinstall, or something. I don't know. Just looks cool strategy game. Now, what's interesting that's not showing up here, and I can't figure out why it's not doing that, is Star Wars Outlaws. I played some more, and it has not been doing a good job tracking. That's the Ubi launcher. Let me go to Ubisoft here. Yeah, because it's showing the last time I played it was August 31st, which No, anyway, I jumped back into Star Wars Outlaws after some time, and that game is fun. That isn't the higher end of the game of the year. It is like I remember when I started yesterday, I was like, what should I do? And I'm like, I don't really know. So I just saw like on a map where there was a pirate camp, went there, and whole adventure. Whole adventure. I'm like parkouring, climbing around, but then it's like shootouts, and then all of a sudden Imperials land nearby, and there's some more pirates, and then there's a shootout there, and like I had, but I was unlocking things. That's the cool thing about this game is you can like naturally just like start a game, go in the world, like what am I going to get into? Oh, I'm unlocking a bunch of stuff, and it just feels good. I think out of all the games we've listed here, Outlaws feels the best to move around, to either shoot, to drive, fast travel. Great game. I think it is getting some undeserved hate. It's unfortunate. I think it has to do with, that whole DEI thing, but same thing happened to Concord, and look at Concord. All right, I think that's about it. I think, mainly it was Astrobot, getting that game done. There's more I can do in it, and I'll probably do it later. Let's look at this real quick. Steam shatters record. 38.3 million concurrent players. So that is really cool to hear. I guess it was over the weekend, perhaps. Steam reached the highest amount of concurrent players it's ever had. That means people. So think about that. 38 million people around the world are playing video games together. Like not together, but like we're all like, I don't know. I think that is just super cool. And we're able, and that's just Steam. That is just Steam. Think of all the people playing video games. That's really cool. Okay. And I'm sure Sony's looking at that, and they're like, well, we only have this many PlayStations out there, so we can't even. Yeah. All right. Let's look at gaming leaks and rumors. Rocksteady is working on Batman again. Okay, this is new. The thing is, let me move this. I don't think any of the same people are there. Not sure what studio people's dream is, but I heard Rocksteady are back making it. I also think Sony are trying to money hat it. LOL. I mean, look, they had a great formula. They had a really good formula down, and they messed it up. It's funny. It's not like they messed it up with Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, which I feel like I should really give that game another chance. I need to put that on my list because it is a fun game. It's like maybe the Concord issue, where Concord was probably a competent game. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is fun. I love the because it's like a lot of aerial, like reset flipping to like stay in air while like shooting, but also there are mechanics with the shooting to help give you health and stuff. It's just that didn't need to be Batman. It would have been cool if it was Warner Brothers' own new IP or something. But this is what they need to do. Back to their roots. Let's make a bat. I mean, those will sell. That's what's so funny about Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Like, why do that when you could just make a Batman game that is going to sell just because it's Batman? But on top of it, if they double down on what made the original Arkham games good, what led to the Spider-Man games existing in the first place, what they need to do is, here's an idea. I think they need to make multiple Batman games that are different genres using the different iterations. There could be the Arkham game Batman, but then there could be like and I've thought about this before, side-scrolling like Metroidvania Batman. Which they've made those before. There was like Blackgate and all that. But I mean, like where then you take like a Michael Keaton Batman, make a side-scrolling brawler, like 2D brawler, but make it the Batfleck Batman. Something like that. I think they should do stuff like that. All right, heading back. Let's see. Famaboard's gaming shop worker claims Nintendo is briefing them soon about Switch 2. And I've heard some interesting, over the weekend listening to some podcasts, some people have kind of dissected a lot of the hardware of the Switch 2. And what's very interesting is it sounds like it would be able to do ray tracing better than the modern consoles. I think that makes sense. That's just due to what you could pull off with modern technology and all that. Um, I mean, there's a potential that the Switch 2 will be better than like a PS4 Pro. In fact, better. It's technically better than a Steam Deck, and it's the same screen size yet slightly more compact. I mean, Nintendo is going to kill it if they can release a handheld and they're able to market it or kind of push how it will look or run better than games on the Steam Deck. So I guess the question is, oh my gosh, Hatter, RTS Batman where you play as Oracle. Okay, there's something there. There is something there. Even though, like, what would you know? There's something there. There's something there. Okay. Let's see. Oh, I think my work notifications are coming in. So sorry if you hear those. Oh God. Yeah. Okay. Hold on 1 second. Let me do something real quick because that could go off forever. And then I'll just like kind of talk as I'm doing this, but more Batman games, right? Okay, good. Muted. I need to do that all the time. Just mute my work computer on the weekend. All right. So yeah, can't wait for did my mouse just die on me? Yeah, can't wait for Switch 2 stuff because I really think it's going to change so much. And I think Microsoft knows this because the other rumor, well, actually, we'll get to that in a little bit. Platinum Games obtained the ownership of Wonderful 101 trademark from Nintendo on August 19th. So that's pretty neat. I wonder how much, and if I'm not crossing the streams like with Shinji Mikami and what's his name, Suda 51. Are these the right people that are now independent? They come back together, get their old IP. I think that's what we're going to be seeing here. Okay. According to Daniel RPK, Team Chaotix are planned to appear in the Sonic film franchise soon with a spinoff plan. Apparently, they were nearly in Knuckles. So that's cool. Yeah, I'm excited about the Sonic 3 movie. You know that I didn't finish watching that Knuckles TV show. But it's not bad, but it's like there's really nothing to it. It's like the most safest watch ever. If you're like having a bad day, maybe, or like you don't know what to do, like if you just watch Knuckles, you'll just be like chill. Like there's nothing going on in it, and it's not bad, and it's kind of cool. It's a weird balance they were able to figure out. And so Chaotix would then, from what I understand, be from that 32X exclusive that I never got far in because as a kid, I did not understand what they were trying to have me do with this momentum ring thing. It's a neat idea, but the fact that they doubled down on that made no sense. Yeah, I don't know. Knuckles was fun, but maybe not for kids. Oh, really? You don't think it was for kids? Was it because there was like really nothing of substance probably for kids? Because yeah, there sometimes there was just like talking and like little jokes that were like super safe, and it was like, all right. Resident Evil 9 could be announced soon. I mean, it makes sense with the release. Well, yeah, I bet January they're gonna show it off. Oh, it did have swearing. I did not hear that. Yeah, it was mostly about that guy. Yeah, that I thought that was kind of interesting, but seemed like a cash grab. But oh well. Yeah. So at least they didn't make it where Knuckles looked like some completely different thing, and then they changed. You know, like luckily, it's like they're showing the characters you know them as. Yeah, it's kind of a weird thing. All right, AMD bid hard to power the Switch 2. According to NVIDIA sources speaking to YouTuber Moore's Law is dead. AMD bid against NVIDIA hard for the Switch 2, by the way, but ended up losing the bid. They also shared some details on the potential technical makeup for the handheld, claiming that Switch 2 silicon has been done since late 2022. That makes sense since they had some closed door meetings kind of showing off Unreal stuff. I swear, like, I really think Switch 2 is going to be announced. Call of Duty is going to be on it. A bunch of other things. I really think Nintendo has an opportunity to kind of like make a big play. And I wonder if they're going to do it. Okay, let's see what else. Oh yeah, 30th anniversary DualSense will be $79.99, so that's not too bad. I mean that's expensive, but I guess when it comes to controllers being, but I want to know the price of that whole bundle. I think it's going to be over 1,000. I would get it, but that's really expensive. It is crazy to think like how, if I'm not mistaken, like now Sony isn't shipping any consoles with disk drives. The Pro and the Slim, right? It's like they're separate. All right. There was something else I meant to grab. Okay, so you guys probably heard of that, like $400 budget for Concord. Although there are claims that I mean, it came from Colin Moriarty, who got it from someone, and so I don't think anyone is trying to say that he's lying. It's just it could be maybe the source, because there are people coming out saying, yeah, it's true. It's not true, and other little back and forths about that. I I don't know. It makes sense that it could happen, and I keep trying to point to this. Halo Infinite had a $500 million budget, and a lot of what Halo Infinite was doing, well, what Microsoft was doing was, like integrating the infrastructure of the cloud, Game Pass, and so I think they were paying for a lot of that, making sure that it ran well and everything. Um, and so I think a lot of, yeah, that's where a lot of budget went. And I think that's exactly what happened with Concord. I really think, Sony at first, they really thought they had something here. And so they're like, okay, well, let's just pump a lot into different things. And so here's the other side I find very interesting about it, because yeah, I think it's weird that they would then just cancel a game and not have it available. And after all the work that was put in, right? It's like there could be something salvageable there. So I'm under the impression there's some sort of optics involved where they were trying to get out from under something. And I have a guess, and I don't know if it's true, because I have different takes on things. Okay, so Min I had it real quick is saying, like the Batgirl movie, because I am curious if that's it. Is this a lost thing? Like, is that it? But here's my other thought is, it's the whole DEI thing. Even though I am not like 100% the type to think, oh, DEI in a game means it's bad. I think all these companies, every company, even non-video game companies, have had this DEI initiative since the early 2010s of, having sort of a committee to be able to look and see like what they can do to make sure they're more inclusive. That was a really popular thing to do, and there's really nothing wrong with that. That's actually a good idea. I think what happened was you get a lot of people that are excited. They're very militant, progressive, excited about this idea that maybe that is their ideology. So then they're incorporating it into their work. They're looking past just the idea of, hey, let's just try to be more inclusive, and making it like we need to double down on showing that this is what a world can be like if it's, anyway. But see, then what happens is people complain about it online. Even if a game is good and fun, people will complain about those aspects. And the thing is, it's caused a lot of turmoil online. Again, the optics. And so I really think Sony could have saw this additional, kind of DEI aspect of like, okay, we release this game, people are complaining about it, and it has the DEI stuff. And the reason that I bring up like move away from DEI is because that's kind of what's been happening universally. Disney, a Hollywood entity, has even said that they are pulling back on that initiative. This was last year, end of last year, before the release of Acolyte. So I think Acolyte is an example. If we're going to see, and again, I don't even want to say it's because of Acolyte, but I think people behind the scenes, again, were very militant about it rather than just trying to incorporate it. So again, I think it's very nuanced. I think Concord's the same thing. It's like there is something there, but then it was like, what? DEI is in fashion. Let's make that the main thing that this is about. But then it backfired. Microsoft earlier, I think it was April or May, they laid off their DEI team. And I think it's maybe they laid off a DEI team, but I'm sure there is still some visibility in making sure that there's certain things, because I think it's important in some ways just to make sure things are inclusive. It's just not to the point to where you're having to change gameplay or change what people like about games. There's nothing wrong with people looking sexy in a video game. It's kind of nice to be able to, play a video game, see something sexy. I, so, so I really do think, and this could incorporate the loss you're talking about, Steven. So it's like Sony's like, okay, let's do a loss because we also don't want to get caught up in that social optics aspect. No one seems to care about this game. People are complaining about it. Yeah. And then, Rogue New Type saying, I think with DEI, there are some elements implemented to take away from the escape of playing games. Yeah. That is really good point. It's almost like if you're watching a movie and the movie is, instead of being fun and interesting, it decides to like be a message. And that's actually what that's the terminology Disney used. They said they want to pull back on the messaging in their programming. So Rogue, I'm glad you brought it up that way, because I think that's what, at the end of the day, these companies are seeing is kind of that friction point. But again, like, if I never knew Concord had a DEI initiative, I wouldn't know. I would just think this is just how they want to design the characters, and it's not for me. I mean, in terms of like when they even shut off Concord at first, I didn't even really know what this was trying to be. Overwatch? Okay, well, Gundam failed with that just recently, and that's like my favorite franchise. So, it's so what's sad about this, there was a lot of people, I guess, are getting laid off, potentially. The company, I don't know. It's very interesting what is going on with this, because I think it's again, it's like Sony. The industry was already shifting from this like post-COVID era, and now there was this like strong emphasis on DEI, and that kind of moved away from mechanics and gameplay and the escape, and then Minnow Hatter, I'm not opposed to messaging stuff existing. The jungle was supposed to be about socialism. Instead, it revealed the meat packing industry was gross. Yeah, there's elements I think where it can work. Because I do appreciate messaging. I think there's a lot that you can do through a medium of art that is sending a message. I think it's harder to do with games because people are interacting with games. That's why, they come out with the character creators. And in fact, like that character, what they could do is just make sure character creators are more robust, and just have it where all those options would be there. Options. Yeah. But you got to remember, the message may not be profitable. You're not making it to money. Yeah. You're not making it to make money. Yeah. So that's what's interesting about all that. But then you got to look at the other things that happen sometimes for corporations, like, oh, it's Pride Month, so let's try to get people to know that we're doing this so more people like us, where that's not genuine, and I think people see through that. So that's that other aspect. So I guess, did Concord cost $400 million? I believe it could, just for the fact that Halo Infinite cost $500 million, and Sony was saying Concord is their Star Wars of PlayStation. They were doubling down on it, like Microsoft was with Halo. And I guess we've learned from Halo and Microsoft in general that they just didn't really have good management of their studios. They were kind of letting them do whatever, which you think that's cool, but it didn't work out. I guess it just did in the past. I think, no, I didn't even look at what the latest news was. I don't know if there's really anything interesting. I hate news like this. Double Dragon artist says Arc System Works revivals shows no respect to the original. I got goosebumps when I watched the trailer just because I love Double Dragon. Like, I don't know. Let's have it come out first. I mean, you think Double Dragon Gaiden that just came out went in a different direction. It was fun. Like, you can do that. Double Dragon Neon, a Western, more neon game. All right. Space Marine 2 devs already have ideas for major DLC, so I can't wait to get back into this one. I had a lot of fun with that, and then I stopped because of the other games. But Let's see. Oh yeah, that Pokemon versus Power World battle. I think I've already spoke on everything about that, but basically, Nintendo doesn't really have anything. They would have said that up front, knowing that they had a thing, but they don't. They're just trying to bully right now. This is their heel turn because they know they're coming out with the Switch 2. Dual prices for the 30th anniversary PS5 digital and duals. Okay, yeah, we saw that. Curious about the bundle. And I made a joke on Twitter. This is Sony's GoFundMe to make up for the Concord losses. Yeah. Okay. What? Elder Scrolls Online has made 15 million a month for 10 years. It's crazy sometimes when these games are out there and I'm like, why do they exist? Then you hear they make this money. And it's like, what? Okay. I need to make one of these. Yeah, I think that's about it. That was fun. Not too much interesting. I think a lot of just drama related stuff because what's going on with Concord, these console manufacturers releasing new consoles, but they're almost like being careful about it. Excuse me. Sony was the first to kind of pull the trigger with their 700. And the thing about that is, I wonder if that means like Nintendo will then be like, oh, well, then we can make ours a little more expensive. So anyway, I'm going to head to work, but this was a lot of fun. We will talk later. Have a good one.